Good evening. Welcome to the PEG TV and Rutland Herald Aldermanic Forum. My name is Rich Clark. I am Professor of Political Science at Vermont State University, Castleton, and I will be serving as the moderator at tonight's forum, which is sponsored again by PEG TV and Rutland Herald. As moderator, I will be asking questions of the candidates over the next 90 minutes. The question topics were generated by the Rutland Herald editors. These questions have not been shared with any of the candidates. For each question, the candidates will have 90 seconds to respond. There is a timer in front of us that will click down to 90 seconds, and I will only interrupt if a candidate has run past their time. In random order, we've seated the candidates, and those candidates here tonight are Alderman Michael Talbot, Kurt Esposito, Alderwoman Sharon Davis, John Chaffee, Alexandria Perron, Alderwoman Anna Taddeo, Mary Lou Beyer, Rick Baker, Peter Franzoni, Alderman Alex Adams, and Thomas Dupuy. The first question is going to start with Michael Talbot. And to open, please tell the voters who you are, why you're running for this position, and focus on what you can bring to the Board of Aldermen.
Evening, I'm Michael Talbot. I'm running for my fourth term on the Board of Aldermen. I'm a public college teacher and a proud union worker. I live in downtown Rutland. I walk the sidewalks of our city. I fixed up an old property, and I know what it costs to keep a property and a household afloat in Rutland. I'm running for re-election because I want to continue on some of the things that we've started on. I think I have a track record of delivering results when I talk about issues in the city. When I first ran, I pointed out that the city's website was outdated and difficult to navigate, and I really pushed for an overhaul and an update. And now we have a website that is much easier to navigate, easier to pull permits, easier to renew your dog license, and a lot more transparent about the activities of the city's different boards. I pointed out that there's a lot of old housing stock in our community that needs to be renovated and updated, and that it's difficult for property owners to do that. So we created a rental rehab revolving loan fund that gives out low interest loans to fix up rental units and bring them to market rate or above. And I consider that a big success for the city. And then finally, the project I've been pushing hardest on for years is creating a TIF district in Rutland so that we can fix up our aging infrastructure and get folks to invest in Rutland. And we've seen big success with that so far, but you know, we're in year one. It's a 10-year project, and I want to see that project through. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Esposito.
Hi, I'm Kurt Esposito. I'm running for a seat on the Board of Aldermen. I'm a Rutland native. Grew up, I was born and raised here in Rutland. Lived away for about 25 years and came back recently. When I did come back to town, I realized that I wanted to get off the sidelines and jump into the mix and start helping instead of just standing by and watching. I bring 25 years of experience in the commercial banking industry, so my finance knowledge is solid. I bring 3 generations of family in the city, so I know the town very well, and I'm really just looking to give back as best I can.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you. I'm Sharon Davis. I'm running for re-election to the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. I have served as your alderman for the past 36 years. I have served as board president, and I am currently the chair of public safety. I bring leadership, experience, a common sense approach, fiscal responsibility. I will focus on public safety, housing, economic development, infrastructure. I will look to increase the tax revenues to help decrease a tax burden. I believe that it has been my privilege to serve as a member of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen, and I look forward to continuing that service. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chaffee.
My name is John Chaffee. I am a lifelong city resident. I've lived here all my life, 40 years. My family is very entrenched in the Rutland community. I have several family members that have served the public in the different departments and City Hall. And I love my city, and I think that I bring a lot of knowledge about the city to the board. And I also own 3 separate businesses here in Rutland, and I know what financial responsibility is, and I think I can help bring us more in line with what's going on and bring a younger vision to the board and change some of the stuff that's been going on for several years, and I think we need a change.
Thank you. Good. Ms. Barone?
Hi, my name is Alexandria Perrone. I am running for Alderman. I am a parent of 3 children here in Rutland City, and I am raising them on a single income, so I understand how to make hard financial choices. The reason that I'm running is because I am excited about the direction that Rutland is headed in. I think that the TIF district has been an amazing thing, and I am excited for that to keep moving forward with new businesses and new residents here in the town. And I want to bring more transparency and accountability to our board. I think that it is lacking sometimes, and I would like to hold some people accountable.
Thank you. Very good. Alderwoman Taddeo.
Hi, my name is Anna Taddeo. I'm born and raised in Rutland City and currently practicing as a strategic litigation attorney. I'm a part-time ski and bike patroller at Killington Resort and have been serving on the Rutland City Board of Aldermen for the last 4 years. I'm seeking re-election to a 3rd term because there's work to still be done. If re-elected, I will continue looking for opportunities to improve and invest in our public infrastructure and in local businesses in our community. Additionally, I will continue to support initiatives to attract and retain high-quality professionals to the Rutland City Police and Fire Departments. I believe in our city, and I believe that when we work together, we can thrive as a community. I am hearing from my constituents that we require investments in affordable housing, and I will continue looking for ways to make that possible. Thank you to PEG TV for hosting this forum. Thank you to the viewers at home tonight for tuning in. Again, my name is Anna Taddeo, and I hope to see you at Town Meeting Day. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Beyer?
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Beyer, and I'm running for Alderman. And actually, we moved here permanently in '22. We turned our home here into an Airbnb, and because of that, I was made aware of a lot of problems that exist as far as marketing Rutland. And I have a couple of, as far as collateral material, there really isn't anything available for people here that come visit. And I get people from all over the country to come to our Airbnb. And when I've talked to these people and they come and they see how great Rutland is, we have nothing to show them, okay? And I thought that was one thing that I'd like to really work on, some sort of collateral material to give these people and anybody that comes, because their comments about the city and Rutland have been fabulous. So anyhow, especially, I thought, what about the restaurants here? How come they haven't approached these people instead of eating and spending their money in Killington? How come they can't come here and enjoy the restaurants we have?
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And turn to Mr. Baker, please.
Hello, I'm Rick Baker. I'm running for Alderman for Rutland City. And after a long career in international development and business development overseas, my wife and I moved back to the States in 2019, right before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we really did a lot of soul searching about where we wanted to be, what community we wanted to invest in, and where we could use our time and talents. And Rutland was a shining star of all the places that we saw. The most potential, the most happening, the welcomeness of the people, just how comfortable that we felt, and we just felt that we could really contribute to that. I'm a local business owner, a welder, a fabricator, a tinkerer, and I think that I can bring those sensibilities to the city as far as utilizing the resources that we currently have, not necessarily increasing the tax base, though that's ideal, bringing more people into the city, but using the resources we have more efficiently. Yeah, I never expected myself to run for office, but these unprecedented times really put it in my heart that I could be an asset to the city. So I'm here to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And Mr. Franzoni?
Hi, my name is Peter G. Franzoni. I am a fifth-generation Rutlander. The past 5 years, I've been running my own business as an independent contract title investigator specializing in commercial land development. I'm running for Board of Aldermen because I want to continue initiatives I've seen brought forward by Rutland Forward with the TIF districting and roofs over Rutland to create more housing to increase our tax base. We have to increase our tax base. We're trying to run a city with about half the people we need paying for it. I have a lot of connections to the people that run this city. I'm at City Hall, the fire department, the PD, the rec, and I want to make sure those people can get paid and be properly compensated. Previous to my work as a title investigator, I spent about 35 years doing land surveying, civil engineering, tech work right here in Rutland County. I'm very familiar with the lands and the people. If we don't increase our tax base, we can't pay for anything, sidewalks, streets, or infrastructure. I'm really good at grinding through red tape, so aside from housing, I'm really anxious to learn about if there's any possibilities where I might be able to bring in some money towards our infrastructure and towards keeping our city officials properly compensated. Beyond that, I want to guarantee that everyone in Rutland is guaranteed to have a voice in our local government. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Adams?
Hi, my name is Alex Adams. I'm running for my third term on the Board of Aldermen. Currently in my second term after being reappointed by Mayor Dunn just late last year. I grew up in Rutland, graduated from Rutland High School in 2007. Left the area, traveled around a bit, getting in trouble and getting out of trouble, and learning some really solid lessons and getting some worldly wisdom. And I moved back, went to Castleton University in 2014, graduated in 2016, studying history, economics, global studies, political science. I didn't find much in that field, so I really went into sales and small business management, led my way into being an IT professional, and then network engineer, and have since started working for a local utility where I do substation and generation protection and SCADA systems. I want to stay on the Board of Aldermen because I've enjoyed it. I like what I do, and I become more passionate about it every day. I've built a lot of strong relationships on the board as well as with department heads and with a lot of different residents in the city, some who I would not have expected to build relationships with. And I feel like I've just hit the ground running and become the best representative I can be, and I want to keep going. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. DuPoy.
Thanks, Rich, for having us. I'm Tom DuPoy. I am about a fourth or fifth generation Vermonter. I've lived here my whole life, went to Rutland High School and graduated from Castleton State College after that. I have my wife Donna at home, and we have 3 kids, my daughter 28 and 2 sons 23 and 21, who are doing very well. And, you know, the last 3 years since I was on the board, I've had a chance to really be involved in their lives and get them settled to where they are. Our youngest is playing football at St. Anselm College over in Manchester, New Hampshire. The other 2 are doing very well in their careers. And, you know, the voters saw that I needed a little time off from the board, 16 years prior to that on the board and 8 years prior to that in the state legislature, and they were very wise. I've had a chance to take a look at property taxes, where they're going, and spending in the city, and I'd really like to try to get my input into that and find some creative ways to save some money for the taxpayers. Business opportunities are great in the city. We just need to encourage people to make those investments, and hopefully over the next couple of years, if I'm lucky enough to be on the board, we can go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. We're going to move into subject of public safety. I'm going to start with Mr. Esposito. Sort of outside of the box initiatives might you promote to increase public safety?
Outside the box, I'd say public safety lies with us, with Rutland citizens. It's got to be a community effort. The neighborhood that I grew up in the city, we couldn't move around for very long without somebody noticing what we were doing and calling home and telling our mothers we were misbehaving. But it's that community feeling of knowing that your neighbor, or just knowing your neighbors, spending time communicating with them and making sure that everyone's okay. That, I think, will go a long way in terms of giving people at least a better sense of community, and that sense of community, I think, can then turn into a better sense of public safety. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Alderwoman Green?
So I brought this up before. I think the Board of Aldermen needs to work closer with the Police Commission. The Police Commission is charged with the day-to-day operations of the police department, and we are charged with the financial piece of it. Project Vision as well. I think Project Vision has stepped away from what it used to be, getting officers in the neighborhood who are consistent, the same officers, the same leadership, getting to know the neighbors, getting to know the normalcy of the neighborhoods, and knowing when things just aren't right. We have a great police and fire department. We have great leadership at the police and fire department. They are well invested in our community, and I think we just continue to support them and increase the lines of communication. We have a great community that we live in. People help each other, and we need to just continue to do that.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Shafi, same question?
Rutland City has an amazing police department. They do a lot of work that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. Fortunately, with one of my businesses, I do get to work with them more often than most people. There's a lot of mental health issues in this city that I think go unnoticed a lot, and I think that we as a board need to help the Rutland City Police Department get the resources they need to address those calls. The other part of that is also, housing. A lot of the calls that Rutland City Police deal with are with unhoused people that are in crisis of some kind. And, the board needs to help provide some type of resources, whether it's monetarily or whether it's partnering with somebody, another service for the city. And that's part of it. The other part of it is because those calls take up so much time, they can't respond to other calls where people also have public safety issues. The fire department in this city is absolutely amazing. Both my uncles spent almost 40 years on it. I have several other family members that are either currently employed by the fire department or have retired. And, it's probably the best in the state, if you ask me.
Thank you. Very good. All right. Ms. Brown?
I agree with Kurt that we need to get to know our neighbors, and once you have a strong community in your neighborhood, you see things, you say things, you make each other aware of things. I also think that when people's needs are met, crime goes down. So whatever we can do to help people have their needs met would be a great way in reducing crime. as for a broader sense of public safety that's not crime specific, I'm actually working with Ted Gillen in the Department of Public Works to address the issues of traffic backup at specifically Northwest and the intermediate and middle schools, because that's not safe when all the cars are on the road and people are walking and trying to get through. So you can just, as an individual resident, go and talk to the right person. I started with Alderwoman Davis as the public safety chair, and she directed me to the police department and Ted Gillen, and I'm going to that meeting tomorrow, and I'm very excited about it.
Thank you. Same question, Alderwoman Taddeo.
Well, I've been a ski patroller at Killington Resort for 5 years, and I understand what it's like to respond to an emergency when you're short-staffed. And because of this experience, I have taken every initiative to support our police and fire departments to be fully staffed and fully compensated for their dangerous work. One example of this is I was traveling on a business trip and had to call in to remotely participate in a crucial vote to ensure that our police department got the raises that they were negotiating for. And so if reelected, I will continue to support these departments. One of the initiatives that I was very supportive of to attract and retain high-quality police officers was the local ski pass to Killington Mountain and gym membership. And I think that initiatives like this, we were able to bring on more qualified staff and reach fuller numbers, which then can allow our communities to be safer. More police presence, more visibility in the downtown then reduces criminal behavior because the police are there on watch. So, I also have been hearing from city residents about other public safety concerns, including walkable streets, bikeable streets, having potholes in their roads where their roads are undrivable. And so I will continue to support, investing in our Department of Public Works, because that is also a public safety issue, ensuring that our city is well cared for. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Beyer.
Well, when I was on city council in Pennsylvania, we did work on revamping the police department in the city, because then this way they became more, in other words, they went from their cars to foot traffic and bikes in the city, and they built up relationships with the merchants and the people that resided in the city. So there was more visibility. And I know when we actually purchased our home here, which was in 2010, we became absentee landlords. It also became a drug house. And we have a wonderful relationship with the police department here, because they helped us, maintain our property and keep it relatively simple. Anyhow, through that experience in Pennsylvania, I do believe that we should have more foot traffic with our police, less in the, I forget what those cars are called.
Squad cars.
Yes, the squad cars, and more in the, on the street.
Well, thank you. And for the assist, and now the question, Mr. Baker.
Thank you for the question. There's a few issues with the crime rate in Rutland. One is, I think that we need to frame the problem in a context of the United States. We actually have relatively low crime in Rutland, though it doesn't feel like that sometimes. And part of that is that we have a growing rate of larceny, so petty theft. And I want to echo Alexandria that by knowing your neighbors, by knowing what's going on in your community, by being in relationship with people, you protect yourself from some of that petty theft. You have people watching out for your things when you're away or not at home. By building relationship, a lot of those issues can be solved on your own side. Not that there isn't some community aspect. I'd like to also see us invest in social workers for the cities. city so that we can respond to mental health crisis. So often a police response is the wrong response to mental health issues. I know this personally. My brother suffers with bipolar and has had many traumatic interactions with police. And I know that that's been helpful for him when he's been able to interact with a social worker instead. And the last point is recidivism. 31% of the crime in the city is committed by the same people over and over again. So it's targeting those people with social care and social services and job placement and job support, I think will go a long way.
Thank you, very good. Mr. Franzoni, same question?
Coming off of Sharon Davis's point about Project Vision and how it's kind of left the original purpose, I think a lot of that has to do with our ability to retain the officers. I think Project Vision has come under stress because it's my understanding the bulk of the calls that police have had to deal with these past few years relate directly to the unhoused and to people suffering from mental health issues. So I support candidate Baker's point about providing social services, especially to those repeat offenders, to get them to stop committing those crimes. But I think retention is a really big point to make here. Again, we're trying to pay for a city with half the people we need to do it, and it's been my understanding that the Rutland Forward candidates currently sitting on the board had to fight pretty hard to get the last budget put through for our police officers. I'm anxious to learn how they've been able to manage all of these budgets with only half the base that we need to do it, and I'm anxious to find out where I might be able to grind through some red tape to try and pull some money in from outside sources to help us in that matter. I'd also like to get involved more with Project Vision, and I like Alderwoman Davis's point about the board becoming more involved with the police commission, not just with the finances end of it, but with other aspects. But I think overall, outside the box, the best thing to do is to get more housing and get more social services. That's been proven time and time again. The more money we put into housing and social services is exponentially more money that we're going to be able to save through our law enforcement expenditures. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Adams, same question.
Sure, I can't believe nobody said this already, but I think we should ask them. I think we should ask the police department what they think we should do. As city leaders, we feel this pressure to have the answers when people ask us what to do about the crime and what to do about other issues in the city. We have people who are doing this every day who probably can handle these issues much better than us. During the police union contract negotiations, I reached out to several officers, met with several, and spent quite a bit of time listening to what their needs and wants were. One of the big things was that the specific benefits that they were asking for were important to them because they want to attract the right kind of talent. I was excited recently to hear the newly appointed Chief Prouty say that he's been part of departments that sort of feel bad, and he's been part of departments that feel good, and he feels really good about the group we have right now. And I think that talking to that group of people and it could glean a lot. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time with them, but having spent the time that I did with them, it made me a huge advocate of the things that they wanted. And I think doing more on our legal system, pushing on our state I don't know if harsher penalties is the answer, but the catch and release is really frustrating and discouraging to our officers who are feeling like they're treading water at times. But I do think that they're excellent people, and I think that they want to have that community presence, but I also agree with some things that other people on the board have said, that it's not just the police force, it's a community effort, and it's going to take all of us. Thanks.
Great. Mr. DePoy?
Thanks, Rich. A few years ago, the sworn officers in the police department had gotten down to about 26. They're back up to about 34 now, and with the budget the contract that the union has signed over the next few years, their salaries are going to be going up significantly, and that's, you know, the way that you recruit people is money. But that said, you also have to support them going forward. And, you know, working with the police commission, who directly oversees the police department, is something that is imperative for this board. I served as the chair of public safety for a year and had a lot of meetings with Chief Kilcullen at the time about retention and recruitment and getting those numbers back up. As I said today, there are 34, 35, somewhere in there, sworn officers, which is great. It really takes the pressure off the officers that are there, so they're not getting burnt out. But there are also some that would like the overtime now that overtime is not federally taxed. So now I give Chief Kilcullen all the credit for a lot of the things that happen positively. And going forward, Chief Prouty, he was the community he was the director for Project Vision and really ushered that into existence here in the city. And I think he's a perfect candidate to carry the city forward as the chief of police. So
Wonderful.
Look forward to working with him as well.
We're going to move back over to this side and end with Alderman Talbot.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be an out-of-the-box idea, but it has been for most of the years I've been on the board, and that is paying a fair, competitive wage to our officers so that they're not leaving Rutland City for other departments in the region where they can receive better pay and benefits. And that's what we saw for years and years, and that's why our numbers of sworn officers dwindled. The contract we recently negotiated with the police union allowed us to pay them a competitive wage, and as a result, we've seen a significant drop in the number of incidents. In 2025, there was a 32.7% decrease in incidents, and that's attributed to proactive policing, like foot patrols, bike patrols, directed patrols, and that's all possible when we have more officers and are able to do those things and not just be reactive and respond to calls. When I was board president, I prioritized making sure that the actual officers were able to be in the room with us and communicate directly with us as a board about their needs and their priorities. And I was told that that's not the way things are done, that was a little unorthodox, but I felt it was important that the workers that drive our police force forward can speak directly to those that decide how much they get paid. We shouldn't be taking away their recruiting tools. We should be investing in the officers. We can say we support the police, but there can't be a but after it. We support the police by paying them a fair, competitive wage and giving them the recruiting tools they need.
Great, thank you. It's already come up as we've talked, but we're going to move over to housing now. And I'm going to start with Alderwoman Davis, but got a few parts to this. So, but how aggressively should the city promote new housing? And what additional steps can the city take to encourage development of housing? Lastly, should they take steps to avoid losing housing to the short-term rental industry?
Okay, so, well, I think the city should be very aggressive in housing. I think statewide, we're trying to be aggressive in housing. I'm going to back up a little bit because the Board of Aldermen is responsible to build the infrastructure to allow housing to occur. That's what we're charged with. We're not charged to develop housing. There are entities in the city who are charged with developing housing. But we should be open-minded, and we should be having the opportunities to work with these developers, work with landlords, and be whether it's market rate loans that we're looking for, whether it's Roofs Over Rutland, we have a LIFT program, we have VHAP, and all of that comes to the board that we approve. We've also waived permit fees. We've also waived water and sewer connections. And we keep that open dialogue, whether it's coming from the Rutland Redevelopment Authority or whether it's coming from a housing initiative itself. So I think we should be very aggressive. I think we have to also, the state has passed a law where pretty much you can build an apartment anywhere. And I think the concern that I have is you also have to be respectful of the aesthetics of the neighborhood that already exists. So I'm a little concerned about taking maybe like a two-family home and making it a six-family home, and what saturation does that do to the neighborhood? But very aggressive, we need to step up to the plate with housing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Shafi.
Housing's a need in the city, there's no doubt about it. But there's a significant problem with landlords finding funding and getting approved for some of the funding to rehab some of the older buildings in Rutland. A lot of the older 2, 3, and 4 family homes in Rutland have been owned by the same landlords for several decades in some instances, and because of that, they've been grandfathered by a bunch of building codes, and now they're coming up for sale, and people are buying them, and they're coming to find out that it's costing tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes a couple $100,000 to rehab them into marketable apartments. And, you know, trying to find the information to try and get some of the stuff that Alderwoman Davis talked about is very hard. I myself tried to navigate a website trying to find all of that stuff, and it was very difficult. I had to call 5 and 6 people to find out. The short-term rental in Rutland, it's hard to say because of Killington, because of the other ski mountains around us. Having the short-term rental stuff in Rutland brings people to Rutland. Those people spend money in our restaurants, in our stores. They add to the tax base because they are paying sales taxes, they are paying rooms and meals taxes by renting in Rutland City. And that's what we want. We want more people to come here. We want more people to spend money here in Rutland.
Good, thank you. Ms. Rowan?
Can you repeat the
I would
second
love
part
to,
of the question?
yes. So I want to know how aggressively the city should promote new housing, what additional steps the city can take to encourage the development of housing, and should the city take steps to avoid losing housing to the short-term rental industry?
So I think that the city should be aggressive on getting new housing, and I think that we have been. I think that we have great programs in place with, like Alderwoman Davis mentioned, the LIFT program, you know, forgivable loans and whatnot to encourage developers to come in and build new housing. As far as the short-term rentals go, I think that it will kind of become a moot point once the hotel gets built. I don't think that it is the best use of our properties while we are in such a housing pinch.
Very good, thank you. Alderwoman Tati, same question?
Yes, I constantly am hearing from both local residents and other people living outside the state that would consider moving here, that reasons they can't is access to housing. And so I think that the city should be doing everything that we can to support bringing more housing online for both renters and homeowners, and for market rate housing, and also for low income housing. Steps that the city can specifically take are continuing to support tax stabilization initiatives when developers come to the city. The most important thing that we can do is not get in the way of developers wanting to invest money. So we need to be breaking barriers down and working with people who want to invest in our community to bring more housing online. In order to meet the needs of the population of Vermont, we need to bring 30,000 houses online by 2030. And I would like to see a lot of those built in Rutland, because the more people that we have living here, the lower our individual tax rates will be. More people means a lower tax rate for you and me. And so I think that it's important for the city to continue to support Roofs Over Rutland, continue to support the TIF district, and continue looking for ways to make market stabilization an easier process for people that are interested in investing money in housing locally. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Ms. Byer, same question?
Yeah. You know, since I decided to run for alderman, I did a little research as far as this housing situation is concerned, because I'm not familiar with what's going on here. But I did find out that with the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, that they have legislative reports on how they did get money for low-income housing. And I know that if I do become an alderman, I would research whatever I could to increase the development of housing in Rutland. We definitely need it. And as far as the all right.
The short-term rental?
Together. The short-term rental is concerned, I definitely believe that it has helped the community here. And with extra tax and with the exposure of this city to the outside world.
Thank you. Very good. Mr. Baker?
Yeah, I'm very passionate about housing. I think we need to be very proactive about housing. We can look to some larger cities than us, some mid-sized cities, and what they've done, especially when they're space constrained. Rutland has a unique geography that prohibits sprawl, and sprawl is not great anyway. So we have to focus on infill, on taking those communities that are just massive golf course lawns and turning them into dense housing by incentivizing homeowners in all of our communities to become investors by offering them tax stabilization if they want to build an ADU in their backyard. And we just can't, the age or the time of NIMBYism, not in my backyard, has to be over. We need more residents, and that need for a tax base is greater than our need for front yards. As far as short-term rentals go, I believe that there's a lot of very effective strategies we could pursue. We could pursue a 30-day limit or a 90-day limit to the number of days that you could rent your home on Airbnb or Vrbo. And also we could implement a primary residence mandate so that you have to actually live in your home in order to rent it out, which would keep all of the money inside of the city instead of letting it go out to external investors.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Franzoni?
Thank you. I'm also very passionate about housing. As far as how aggressive we've been, I think we've been very aggressive already. As I said in my work, I spent a lot of time in the land records, and brought this up at the housing panel we had with the Rutland Redevelopment Authority last evening. There's been more permits put through our city in the last 5 years and likely the last 25 years before that combined. The initiative started by Alderman Talbot to get the TIF district going. Mayor Mike came on behind and really wrestled that into place. Roofs Over Rutland and the LIFT program. I think we've been very aggressive in these last 5 years, and I really want to be part of that initiative. To Alderwoman Davis's point about changing the characterization of a neighborhood, turning, say, a two-family home into a 4 or 6-family home. I've been involved with Strong Towns, RA, and some other organizations. I shouldn't say involved. I've been sitting in and listening and learning quite a bit these last couple of years. There's smart ways to do planning, and we should develop these two-family homes into larger units because it increases our tax base. If we have a half-acre lot with 2 units on it that we're taxing for, say, $4,000 now, and we're able to put 4 or 6 units on, well, we're going to be able to tax it $6,000 to $8,000 to $10,000. So if we can increase the amount of people we have on a piece of property, we're getting more money with less space, and that also works against sprawl. And it can be done smartly. It can be done right, and if it's planned right, it can do it by improving the characterization of a neighborhood. And I think Rutland is...
Thank you. Well,
okay, thank you.
Alderman Adams?
I'll start at the last question and work my way back. The short-term rentals, I think trying to tell anybody what to do with their property is a slippery slope. We also have traveling nurses that are dependent on sort of more long-term, short-term rentals. So I don't think that cutting out the legs of the hospital and the resources that they need is going to be beneficial. And I also completely agree with Alderwoman Davis. Our job is, we're tasked with managing a $27.5 million budget to establish the infrastructure and the policies that enable an economy to thrive and invite developers to the area. So I think getting out of the way, making permitting easy, we can offer some tax stabilization on a case-by-case basis, but at the same time, we can't get so eager to bring new developments in that we remove all of the benefit from getting that development by giving away the farm to get them here. I absolutely want to focus on getting more housing, and there's ways to do that by inviting developers and by demonstrating that it's an easy town to build in and that the permitting process will be easy. But again, I just think we need to be very careful on what we try to involve ourselves with as a local municipality. We don't have the tools or the authority to be telling people what to do with their private property.
Thank you. Mr. DuPois?
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, I have to agree that I would not be in favor of any kind of penalizing of property owners if they decided to put their property on the markets for short-term rentals. That said, we do need to look at zoning, possibly opening up some other areas of the city in the zoning to allow for multi-family units to be either built or developed in different areas of the city. I live in the southeast section near the hospital, and there are some traveling nurses that occupy some places around there, and it's very convenient for them because they can walk to work, and they provide a very necessary service to our community. And as we go down the path of trying to recruit businesses here, we're going to need more housing, especially if the businesses start to thrive in this community, which we all hope that occurs. The state already has on that a 3% tax on the short-term rentals. I wouldn't look to try to piggyback on that or anything with the city. I think that current homeowners, they really have some choices going into the future as to how to treat their properties and whether they're going to partition stuff off and make more apartments available.
Thank you. Alderman Talbot.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that housing should be the #1 priority for anybody who serves on the Board of Aldermen or who wants to serve on the Board of Aldermen. We don't have a housing crisis in Rutland. We have a housing emergency, and housing is the key to everything. It's the key to filling the vacant jobs we have, creating new job opportunities. It's the key to making sure that our schools are operating at capacity so that they're financially efficient. It's the key to economic development for the long-term viability of this city. And it's the key to lowering property taxes for people who already own things here. I think we need to take a carrot and a stick approach. We have a lot of carrots that the board has created in recent years. The water sewer connection fees, reductions and waivers, tax stabilization, which we've started to use for the first time very recently. I think we need to market those things better, and we need to be using tax stabilization as much as we can because it's failing to capture future revenue, right? We wouldn't be bringing in those greater tax dollars if we didn't incentivize developers to build. I think we need to strengthen, in terms of a stick, I think we need to strengthen our blighted property ordinance. Right now it's voluntary, and the fines for leaving a property vacant and blighted are very low and don't really put enough pressure on property owners to address them. In terms of short-term rentals, I've seen next door to me, someone turned an apartment into a short-term rental, and it's probably occupied about 50 nights per year. Those are beds and roofs that could be housing Rutlanders.
Thank you. And we'll finish this with Mr. Esposito.
Excuse me. I have a slightly different perspective on housing. As I'm actually a renter myself. What I found when I moved back to Rutland was that there were few rentals in the mid-range. Most of the rentals that were available were either low income, which I did not qualify for, or at a price point that was outside of, what I could afford. So the encouragement of developers, if we're going to get developers to come into the city and build more housing, we've got to be broad with the housing and not just concentrate on one level. We need some more mid-level housing where paycheck to paycheck people like myself can live. Once we make things better in that respect, the housing will, excuse me, we'll be able to encourage more developers to come into town and start creating the housing that we need.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to shift here a moment and to talk about budget. Considering operational expenses, capital investments, can you name anything you would either add or cut from the budget? We'll start with Mr. Shafi.
Well, I think, and I've been talking about this to some of the people I've been talking to, is the city, I think, needs to look at their purchasing department And we have a large city with a lot of departments that use a lot of the same supplies. And I don't feel we're getting the best price for what we buy. I think that's another thing that really needs to be looked at, is if we're buying X amount of stuff for all the departments, we should get the best price. As far as adding stuff to the budget, I mean, obviously, people need a proper wage for the jobs they do. I mean, we can always talk about that. Infrastructure is a huge problem. At the Alderman board the other night, this lady was talking about Morris Place and how she'd been begging for a road to be paved for 20 years. Fortunately, the DPW commissioner said it's definitely getting done this year, but for 20 years, that road didn't get paved. I mean, it's collapsing. I've driven on it. I mean, there's no reason for it, because they can't get kicks down the road because something bigger happened, because we need a real investment in infrastructure in this city. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Perot?
So, not having served in public office at all, I'm not super familiar with the intricacies of the budget. I do agree with John that we for sure need to invest in our infrastructure. I think we have started to do that. I have noticed the city looks prettier, if you will. The sidewalk in my neighborhood got done this past September. And those are all necessary things. As far as what to cut, I would have to ask more questions before I could answer that.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Tadia.
So for the last 4 years, I've sat in multiple rooms and combed through line by line 4 different budgets. And I do think that the Rutland City Board of Aldermen does a really good job of trying to trim any excess, down to the copier paper, down to the professional development expenses. We really do produce a trim budget. That being said, I do think that a majority of the budget are salaries of our city staff, police, fire, rec, and Department of Public Works. And we need to continue to support our city employees. And so I would add consistent COLAs that keep up with the actual cost of living. As we've seen, the cost of living is rising. I know that that's a major concern of a lot of my constituents, and some of those constituents are city employees, and so our city needs to deliver an affordable wage to our city employees. I don't know that I would look to cut any of our budget. I think my goal is to look for ways to supplement. So looking for ways to be creative with our 1% option tax, looking for ways to bring in grants from outside of this community, whether it's federal or state grants. For example, Treasurer Pichek just invested more money into the downtown hotel project. He has been investing millions of dollars into our city. And so I think the more we can leverage our relationships to bring money into the city so we don't have to trim our budget, I would be in support of, again, supplementing our budget from outside sources as opposed to trimming it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beyer.
I would definitely want to review tax-exempt properties in the city, because at this point, I don't believe we should support any more tax-exempt properties. We should actually be encouraging people to move into the city to pay taxes. I have been involved in the past with a tax abatement program where new businesses that come, we encourage new businesses to come into the city. And on a 1 to 10 year, the first year, no taxes, second year, 10%, whatever. It goes up to 10 years, and they pay the full tax. At that point, they should be making some money. Anyhow, that, and as far as the infrastructure is concerned, liquid fuels money pays for infrastructure. And I would like to know probably how much of that money we get in Rutland from the state, okay? And that money should go into the road repair, which of course we need because of this weather that we're getting.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Baker.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm sure all of you are aware, but since 2019, the real dollars that we have as people, so it's called purchasing power parity. What we're able to buy with our dollars has decreased by 49%. So us as individuals can buy 49% less goods with the same dollar. That's true of the city also. The city is under that same crunch. And we have to prioritize people because people are the thing that makes the machine work and makes us safe and makes Rutland a great place to be. So people have to be our priority. I'd love to see more investment in the people of Rutland so that people feel not only compensated, but they feel like they have a future in Rutland. As far as taking away from the budget, I don't feel like I have a strong enough grasp of what the whole budget looks like that I'm really willing to say that we shouldn't be doing this. But I love the opportunity and relish the opportunity to dig into the budget and really look at the numbers because I have a passion for that even in my own business.
Thank you. Mr. Franzoni?
Thank you. Again, piggybacking off Alexandria's comment, I haven't served yet, so there's a lot about the budget I don't understand. From what I've been watching the various boards over the years, whatever my other political alliances and differences might be with them, our boards have been pretty consistent about being able to find fraud and waste for 25 years now, and I'm of the opinion, as limited as it might be from my side of the rail presently, that most of the fraud and waste has probably likely been found, and the reason we have problems paying for things is because we don't have enough people living in the city to do so. I don't think there's any room for cutting anything in our budget, and I would piggyback again off of Candidate Baker's comment that we need to take care of the people that are running this city. That being said, I think the only choices are to do what Alderwoman Taddeo said was about trying to find outside sources to supplement our incomes. I'm anxious to get involved with that. I'd like to find out what possibilities I may be able to find through state, federal, even private developments to pull money in for our infrastructure and to keep our city running. So I don't think anything should be cut. I'm not sure what could be added without trying to find outside in sources. We just simply don't have the buying power that we used to have, and we don't have enough people in the city yet to pay for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Adams, same question, the budget.
I think I should probably take the easy route and say we should bring in more money from outside and we should pay our employees fair and we should hire more people and we should spend more money. But the reality is we can't. We've been at this for years and taxpayers are constantly calling saying we're being taxed out of our homes. So if we can do these things, I think we would have already done them. I think the hard thing to do is look at our staffing, maybe not replace positions when people leave. I think we need to start looking at the budget a little bit differently. Right now, we look at what we need, and then we say, okay, here's what it costs. Let's charge the taxpayer. I think we need to look at what the taxpayer can afford and build a budget around that. I also think that we need to work closer with the schools. The school has a $65 million budget. They have electricians and plumbers and 5 full-time IT professionals while the city scrounges for these services. And people say, Alex, that's not how it works. I understand that's not how it works. But the way it works isn't working for people. So I think we need to look at all opportunities. And if cutting down some of these silos and working with the school system to get some of these contractors into our city buildings to fix things up so that our taxpayers aren't paying for services twice, I think we need to look at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. DuPoy.
Thanks, Rich. 16 years of fighting through budgets in this city, and, most of the time you can nickel and dime it, and it doesn't amount to a heck of a lot. That said, when you have big ticket items like dump trucks at $150,000 to $200,000, and We instituted a program a few years back in DPW that was oil undercoating the vehicles that DPW had, and it seemed to add some longevity to some of those vehicles. I'd be interested to talk with the guys from DPW and see how that's continuing and, how many more years they figure they're getting out of some of the dump trucks or some of the regular pickup trucks that they're using there. That's one way where we can save some money. Personnel is where the money is. And, it was brought up that, through attrition, if you don't refill those positions, we've tried that, and, the positions end up getting filled. Like in the PD, the PD got down to 26, and it really needs to be at 40. I'm glad to hear it's at around 35 now. That's a good thing. The roads cost money, but everyone in the city deserves to have good roads. So we have to really look at our spending on the roads, and yeah, those sidewalks look fantastic. I've got a brand new sidewalk in front of my house as part of the Stratton Road project. But all of that stuff costs money, and we as a board have to decide where to spend that money.
All right. Thank you. Very good. Alderman Talbot, please.
Yeah, so it's clear that we can't cut our way to prosperity. There are examples across this country and around the globe where cutting and austerity measures send municipalities, send nations into economic freefall, right? We can't do that. We won't grow. We won't thrive in the future if we continue to just focus on cutting. If we make smart additions and investments in our budget, we will be able to grow our tax base and bring down the property tax burden for individual homeowners. An example of how we failed to do that recently was a grant writer position that was proposed by Mayor Dunges. The board ended up eliminating it. That's a five-figure salary that could potentially generate $4 or $5 million a year in revenue for the city that we're not capturing. We're one of the counties that fails to capture federal grant money at one of the highest rates in Vermont. Again, in terms of making smart investments and not short-sighted cuts, right? This board frequently during budget season, we're looking to cut. We hear the pressure that's on property taxpayers, and we make cuts for short-term wins that are going to damage this city for decades to come. My single biggest regret in my time on the board is that about 5 years ago, we cut $300,000 in the pension contribution. That cut of $300,000 is going to cost Rutland City property taxpayers $2.7 million over the life of the pension, right? That's a short-term win for long-term suffering.
Thank you. Mr. Esposito.
I would agree with Alderman Talbot that cutting is not really the route we should be taking. I can't speak to the intricacies of the budget as I've not served yet myself. However, there are expenditures that can't be avoided, and from my history in banking, having watched, because I was in commercial banking, having watched central banks of entire countries start to suffer the same sort of effects that the city of Rutland is seeing by trying to cut everything to the bone, it rarely works. And, obviously we need to pay our city employees and we need to pay them a fair wage. They need to have good benefits as part of that pay package. So those are the type of things that we know aren't going to go away. But it used to hear a lot in banking, do more with less. Again, one of those things that I don't know for sure that we could ever really accomplish because of the fixed costs that the city faces. But I would like to look more at it to really get a better understanding of how the budget actually sits and works. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly on this one, Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you. So I think the budget is probably one of the most important jobs and tasks that the Board of Aldermen does. And we do spend a great deal of time going through the budget, meeting with department heads. Would I cut the budget or cut something from the budget? I can't say that I would choose. I think I would right-size the budget. And what do I mean by that? We currently since 2023, have collected over $4 million from the 1% tax. We spend an awful lot of money on our infrastructure because we have to bond for it. We have to bond for roads, bond for sidewalks, bond for, infrastructure upgrades of water, sewer. And I think the planning, and we've talked about this at the board level, doing a better job of planning to take some of that 1% tax and put it into the capital planning fund, so we're not having to go out and bond, which is cheaper for the taxpayers. Currently, in our delinquent taxes, to date, we have $952,000 in delinquent taxes. That tells us that people in this city are having difficulty paying their taxes. And we have to listen to that, and we have to right-size the budget. Yes, sometimes we are nickel and diming budgets, but that is a responsibility that is given to us. So I will look at every budget as I always have. I will ask questions as I always do, and I hope that we get to the point that we have that increase in revenue.
Thank you.
Okay. I thought I had 10 seconds left there. That's all right.
I'm going to have the next round start with Ms. Perrone. I love this question, but what is Rutland missing? What do you see in other communities that Rutland would do well to emulate? And how would you restructure city government if given the opportunity?
Oh, goodness. So, there's a program that I cannot recall what it's called right now off the top of my head, but Scotland just passed its first law to bring this program that essentially says it's going to be required to keep a certain percentage of community dollars in the community. So, for example, and I know the board doesn't have control over the schools, but each school picks their own photographer. And I think that that is a shame that we are not supporting local photographers right here in Rutland City. So I would love to bring in a program like that, if I could remember what it was called, that we could do something, maybe legally, to encourage all of our city structures to keep as much funding here in the city to keep those dollars circulating locally.
Thank you. Okay. Alderwoman Taddeo.
Well, I think Rutland is an incredible place. We have a great access to the outdoors. We have a fabulous downtown. We have new businesses opening, new restaurants coming. But the thing that I would change is I would have more people living here. I think it would be great if there were more people here, partly to offset the tax rate, but partly so that our students had a greater diversity of people to interact with, and that we had, a greater population. It just benefits the city in so many ways. So something that I would change is I would have more people living here. But to do that, we need to build more housing. So something I would change is, voila, there would be a lot more housing in our city. In terms of the city government, I wouldn't change a lot. I think there are a couple positions that I would add. There are a few city departments that are doing the best that they can, but they need more staff. For example, I would add a city grant writer. I would add potentially another part-time position to our planning and zoning department. I just think that so much can be done, but we need to have the staff to do those things. I would continue to support CEDAR and initiatives to bring people into our community that want to move here. Because again, I think that what we need most is more people living here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beyer, same question?
That's right. Marketing. That's the key word here, because we really don't have anything to encourage people to utilize all the facilities that we have. And I guess because I was always in the restaurant business, we had 3 businesses in that, I know how important marketing is. I mean, just to have a brochure, and someone just came up to me recently and said, do you think you can get the restaurants to stay open later? I know that if the restaurants had a positive piece of paper that said, you know, all the things that we do here, when you can come, different events. We need something like that, and we don't have it. So that would be my push.
Thank you. Mr. Baker, same question.
Thank you again for the question. I agree that marketing Rutland to tourists and to residents, future residents, is key. Rutland is positioned in such a wonderful place in the state. We have access to the whole state within easy driving to make any excursion in the state a day trip. We have access to world-class skiing. We have access to world-class mountain biking. We have fantastic natural resources. We have beautiful rivers and lakes, fishing, hunting, all those things. So really marketing Rutland as the gateway to the Green Mountains, the gateway to Vermont, and utilizing our resource of Amtrak. So I know many people in New York who look for places to be, and Stowe is expensive, and the Woodstocks and the Manchesters, and there's a certain clientele that those cities appeal to, but working folks who want to experience the beauty of Vermont could experience that through Rutland. So I think that would be a great thing to focus on in the city. As far as city governance, city government, once we can grow the tax base, I think it makes sense to have a city manager to guide the city long-term, apolitically, that is an expert in management.
Thank you. And Mr. Franzoni.
Thank you. I guess I'd have to agree with Alderwoman Taddeo. I think the only thing Rutland's really missing is people. We need more families. We need more children. I grew up on a dead-end street on Edgerton Street, and aside from the 3 children of my own household, there were 35 kids on that one street. I miss seeing that. I miss seeing that the playground's full of kids. I miss seeing the city's full of people. And the only way we're going to do that is build more housing. Agreeing with candidate Baker, Rutland's sitting in a prime position right now. We really are sitting on a potential gold mine. My father was a big part of the boom in the 60s and 70s when Killing first expanded the first time up in Killington. And we're right on the edge of that happening again. Aspen in the East is about to get built. There's no good reason that we can't pull commerce down the hill and have Rutland expand those efforts, but we need people to do it. We need to get people to move here. So I think housing is the biggest thing. As far as what I would add to city government, I agree with Alderwoman Taddeo. I think there's some staff positions in City Hall that need to be buttressed. The listers and assessor's office and the town clerk's office could use some extra staffing. I think our grand list reappraisal probably would have come about a little bit sooner if we'd had some better staffing. And once that happens, that's going to be a big tax boon too. So that's about all I think I would add to city government right now. Thank you.
Alderman Adams?
Yeah, thanks. I think I'll echo what everybody else said, is just development, housing and commercial development, so that we can have the capability of making investments and more sound investments. I think we've made some poor investments over the past few years that are going to ultimately hurt taxpayers in the long run. But I think if we can keep pushing back on some of the state regulations that make it difficult for people to settle here. I know we've got 181 in the works, the 1A exemption to Act 250 to allow that burden to be lifted from all of Rutland City would be incredibly beneficial. I really think that the 3-acre rule has to go. I mean, it's just going to hurt us as a municipality, and it's going to hurt local businesses as well. I mean, the 3-acre rule says that if you have more than 3 acres of impervious surface, then you have to have a stormwater runoff system to prevent that from running into local rivers. And the idea is to keep phosphorus out. So White Park, for instance, is over 3 acres. You'd be concerned that phosphorus is going to run into Moon Brook and then run into Otter Creek and then run into Champlain, when the significant source of phosphorus in Champlain is coming from farm runoff, in my opinion. So I think the state has their heart in the right place in some cases, but I think some of the regulations that they put on have all these unnecessary effects on our ability as local municipalities to invite developers here.
Thank you. All right. And Mr. DuPois, please.
Thank you. You know, your first part of your question is what's Rutland missing? And over the years, I've found that it's state support. We need to help our elected state representatives and senators to pressure Montpelier to help Rutland out the way it does Rutland County, or Chittenden County, and other counties around the state. I think that a lot of the resources that could come to Rutland are diverted to other places, and we just have to do everything we can as a city to try to get as much as we can down here, what I would consider to be Rutland's fair share. And I think that we've fallen short over the years. We have a very important census coming up in 2030. In the 2020 census, I don't think that Rutland did a very good job of counting its residents. And the reason that we need to do a much better job in 2030 is because the more people that you have, the more people that you count, the more funding that you get from federal and state grants. And I think that that's one of the things that I would improve upon come 2030. And it's imperative that we really look at that as we approach 2030. Maybe a position for the 1 year of the census to make sure that people are getting counted in this city, because it's a huge issue. We need a better tax structure for the city coming from the state, and once the tax structure is better, I think that that's one of the things that I would improve for sure.
Great, thank you. We'll move over to Alderman Talbot.
So when I think about what the city of Rutland is missing, I think about my teenage years and the things that were the most important to me. And that was the skate park and a community center for, independent music shows and punk rock shows. The skateboarding community and the punk community were foundational in making me the adult that I am, right? I started shooting skate videos when I was a teenager. That led me to an interest in filmmaking, which led me to becoming a professor that teaches communications and media. And being part of the punk rock community instilled me with the values of speaking up for those who are marginalized and who don't have a strong voice, and have led me to run for office to try to make a difference in my community. In terms of what I'd change in the structure of city government, I would look to change the way that aldermen serve their terms from maybe 2 years to 3 or 4, and to stagger the positions. What we've seen in recent years is big turnover of the board on town meeting day, with 5, 6, or 7 seats turning over. And I don't think that that's good for the stability of the city and for long-term projects that the board and City Hall are working on. So if we were only turning over 3 or 4 seats each year, potentially, I think that would be better for the future of Rutland.
Thank you. Mr. Esposito.
In terms of what Rutland is missing, one word in particular comes to mind, and that being pride. Thinking, and to echo Alderman Talbot's sentiment of his teenage years, when I was a teenager living in Rutland, there was a great deal of civic pride. I had noticed today a post on Facebook about the rivalry between MSJ and Rutland. That brought, I would say, even on occasion, thousands of people into the city for football, basketball, hockey games, anything like that. It just doesn't seem to me that there's the same level of positivity in the city any longer. The folks that have been approaching me have been genuinely negative. We don't have this, we don't have that. And I always say, let's look at what we do have. The parks, the access to outdoor activities, the Paramount Theater, the new hotel on its way, the restaurants we have here. Rutland has a lot to offer. And I think that part of it, a promotion to really encourage people to again, take pride in our city. I mean, this is our home. We should be taking that kind of pride in it. As far as adding to the city government, I don't know that I'm really qualified to speak on that quite yet. So I think I'll leave that off at there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Davis?
So again, I think Rutland is, I've lived here my whole life, and I am grateful. And we have great schools, a great city, great hospital, a safe environment, wonderful recreation. Creates a great quality of life. So I think if missing is possibly opportunities with rail. Whether it's just for travel, if we want to go to Middlebury or Burlington or South, but also goods that are coming for businesses, the need for businesses. A lot of the goods that come into the city also leave the city, simply because we don't have a major highway where a business can locate and then have those goods delivered. A change in city government, I think I would look at the attorney's office. We're having a really difficult time hiring a city attorney simply because they're an every 2-year appointment. And that inconsistency is difficult for people to take a job and then not know at the whim of a mayor or a board, if they don't like the attorney, you're gone in 2 years. So I think that I would like to look at that more of an appointed, not a less appointed position, and really just as a job with a contract.
Thank you. And last for this one, Mr. Shafi.
I think something Rutland is missing is a real entertainment venue. I mean, we have the Rutland Vermont State Fairgrounds, we have the Paramount, both great venues. I've seen concerts in both places and many, many other things. But during the summer, the fairground sits vacant except for the fair. I mean, we have all these great venues within 2 hours of Rutland that our citizens drive to every single weekend, all summer long, to watch concerts. Why can't we bring them to the fairgrounds? Why can't we talk to the fairgrounds about bringing them or getting sponsorships to bring them? That's a big thing. We got to keep people in Rutland, spending money in Rutland. And when you bring stuff like that to Rutland, you bring a ton of people into Rutland. It fills the restaurants. It fills the shopping malls. We don't have that anymore. The small stores, the independent stores that live based on the amount of people coming through their door. As far as the city government, I mean, yeah, there's, Anna said it, there's some positions that we need more of, maybe starting them out as part-time, to help out during certain times of the year. Other than that, I think the city government's really good. I mean, I like Mike's idea, go to 2 or 3 or 4 years with the alderman thing, for less turnover. Right. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, I'm going to catch up. I'm going to ask you to all work with me here a moment and try something, do kind of a lightning round here. We don't have time to do a full round for another question, but maybe if you can give me in one sentence a response to what could the board be doing to make the city's economy more vibrant? And if you just hit me with the one idea, then we can move through, and we'll start with Alderwoman Taddeo.
Continue to support the Rutland Redevelopment Authority to deliver small grants to local businesses and restaurants so they can continue opening downtown.
Great. Ms. Beyer?
Create more conversation with the citizens, have more open discussions with them, and take their positions to heart.
Great, thank you. Mr. Baker?
I'd like to see the Cedar and their program at the Mint re-expand to business incubation and growth and development. It really create opportunities for people to explore skilling themselves for new businesses.
Wonderful. Mr. Franzoni?
Just piggybacking, I think supporting the efforts of the RRA and the CEDRR especially. That's what's going to promote businesses and promote housing in the city. So that would be where I put my efforts.
Great. Alderman Adams?
Promote and attract more retailers.
Mr. DuPois?
Keep taxes in check, streamline permitting, and promote the city at all avenues.
Wonderful. Alderman Talbot?
I think the board should think deeply about how the image that we project to those who invest here and who might invest here when we take votes on issues that come before us.
Mr. Esposito?
Continuing to encourage events like the Rutland Farmers Market and Friday Night Live.
Wonderful.
So I agree with Anna. The RRA, especially the BIAP loan, we've secured 37 to date at a total of $320,000, and that's a huge success for the city and for downtown Rutland.
Great, thank you. Mr. Shafi?
I mean, we got to promote the city. We got to get more businesses here, maybe large warehousing, maybe manufacturing of some kind, to bring those jobs in that our people need. We need to talk to the state about if they have businesses that want to come into the state to talk to us in Rutland. We have people that are willing to work. We have people that want to work and want to make good jobs and have better lives.
Thank you. And Ms. Perron.
I'm with Alderwoman Davis and Taddeo. I think we got to keep pushing development, and I think we have to make really smart choices with our TIF district.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you for humoring me with that. So that's really all the time we have tonight. Again, I want to thank all of you for participating in this forum and for your civic engagement. It takes a lot of spirit to put yourselves out there, and I think, on speaking on behalf of the community, we appreciate that. Local government only works when neighbors are willing to give their time and energy in service of their community. So thank you. I also want to recognize and again thank those who made this forum possible, the Rutland Herald and PEG TV. And these two organizations serve our community every day, and I think we need to recognize that. Lastly, remember, town meeting day is March 3rd. Please vote. Encourage your friends and neighbors to do the same. Thank you. Good night and be well.